black window does is it acts as an interface between us, the users, and the operating system. And it allows us to execute commands and ask the computer to do stuff for us. So let's do something quickly. Let's zoom in so it's a little bit easier to read, hopefully. Let's maximize. No, maximize is too much for me. So let's do that for now. All right. And let's start. In general, when you have commands on Unix, you will have this format. You will have the command, then some parameters that you see with hyphens, and then, let's say, like this, so it's highlighted, and then you have some arguments. All right, so this is the generic format of a command for Unix. So you have the command, then you have a parameter list that you see with hyphens, and then you have some arguments. If the command that you are using is known to the operating system, it will execute it. Or it will suggest that it will tell you that the structure, the format that you have used is not the expected one, and it will tell you use the right structure. However, if this command that you are writing is not known, it will complain. A command seems to be a command. Okay, so let's write something else. So let's say this one. So this one is something that the machine doesn't know what it is. It just, this means command in Greeklish actually. And this is not something that the operating system knows. As soon as it sees something like that, it will say, you know what, I don't know what this is. All right. Now, if you don't know what a particular command does, then there's one command that you need to remember. So let's say the echo command. All right. So if you don't know what echo does, and at some point the I tell you use echo, or the lab instructor tells you in the lab use echo for this, if you don't know what echo does, what you can do is you can use one command which is called man. And this is the only command that I need you to remember. Man is the command that allows you to access the man page, the manual, for a particular command. So if we do man, and which one I said, echo, then this, if you remember the structure of the command that I gave earlier, this is the command part. We don't have any parameters, because if we did have parameters, it would have a hyphen before them. And then echo is the argument. So let's see what it does. If you follow what I have been saying, this will give me the man page, the instructions of how to use echo. And this is what happens. So it says echo will display a line of text. Okay? And it will give you the parameters that we see with hyphens, right? And all the different, format of the particular command. Okay. Sometimes at the end of the man page, it might have some examples. All right. Now, when you are in the man page, in order to exit the man page, as it says here, you need to press Q on the keyboard. So if you press Q, you come back to your terminal. All right. Okay, let's start. Let's actually show a command that has a parameter. Let's do ls. Okay, so ls, again, you don't know what ls does, so what are you going to do? Man, ls. By the way, you can do man, so you can get the man page of man, I think, and it works, all right? So the man will give you access to manuals, all right? And here's the man page of this command. Okay, Sometimes you see that the man page is quite lengthy, okay, and you might need to search a little bit in order to find the right parameter that does what you need to do. All right. So let's exit by hitting Q, and let's go back to the ls. I said that I'm going to use the ls command. So if this is your first day interacting with the terminal, you probably don't know what ls does. So what do? Man ls. All right. Basically, it will list the directory contents. So we need to know which is the current directory that we are currently at. For that, there is another command which is called pwd. And if you execute this command, it's actually pwd is one of the commands that you will see in the practical this week. The result of this command says that we are currently /home/Kali. And if we execute the command ls, we will see the contents of this particular folder, which is under /home/Kali. Sorry, under /home. On Unix systems, the start of the disk is /. Right. So what we see here is that in the beginning of the disk, we have one directory, which is called home. And inside this directory, we have the home page of all users. So basically, we have one user, which is called Kali. And now we're currently inside this folder. So if we do ls, we will see the contents of the Kali folder. And we see that it has desktop, documents, downloads, and so on and so forth. All right. I said that under home, we have folders for each user in this machine. So let's go and change the directory of this particular machine and go to /home so we can see the rest of the users that might be in this machine. To do that, use the command cd. All right. Again, if you don't know what man does, man cd. And there is no man page for cd. All right. Okay. But cd changes the directory. What about man pwd? For that one, we have the man page, and we see that it's printing the name of the current working directory, the current folder that we are currently on. And I exited the man page by hitting Q. All right. Let's see which is the current directory. We said it's pwd, and let me clear this because we reached the end of the window. And let's execute the last command, which is pwd. Again, I haven't done anything new so far. And we are going to go into the /home folder by executing the command cd /home. And now pwd will tell us that our current working directory is /home. If we need to see the contents of /home, we do ls. And we see that there is only one folder, which means that we only have one user in this machine, which is called Kali. All right, so let's go back to Kali. So if we do cd Kali, we will end up in the Kali folder. How we can double check that? pwd. So our current working directory is /home/Kali. Let's clear this and do pwd again. All right. We said that the contents of this folder will be given with the command ls. All right. We wish now to start seeing some new parameters of this command. Because if you remember a couple of minutes ago, I said, let's use now a command with parameters. And after this long discussion, let's do that. All right. So if we do ls -l, we will see this output with some additional information that we are going to discuss later in this module. So ls-l give us the same output, desktop documents, blah, 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 with additional information that has to do with permissions on the folders, whether these entries are a directory or not, and we can figure out this one by the first letter of this line. If it starts with a D, this is a folder. So we only have folders here. All right. We can go ahead and create a file. There are multiple ways that you can create files. All right. So let's create a file which is called file.txt. We can do this with the command touch. If you don't know what touch does, then you know what to do. Man touch. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to create the file. So if obviously it's an empty file, txt file, right? And we can see whether this file has been created with the ls command, and it's here. And we can see with ls-l whether this is a file or not. It's a file. I mean, okay, the name is file, so you can guess that it's file, but you see that this doesn't start with a D here. All right, let's clear again. Let's do the last command. By the way, you can execute the last command by hitting up in the keyboard. Okay, so you see I'm doing this to go back and forth the commands that I have already executed. ls-l give us this output that we saw earlier, and you see that this file has been created now. Well, the time is wrong, but it's not 11:40. It doesn't matter. And this is the size. It's an empty file. All right, now, as an exercise, I would like you to open the man page of ls and find how you can find files and folders that are hidden. Okay, and I encourage you to pause now this video for like a couple of minutes and open the man page and find the answer to the question how we can use ls in order to display hidden files and folders. Assuming that you have paused, okay, and you haven't just continued, I will show you now the answer to this. So if I'm assuming you did man ls and you searched, you read the man page and you reach here and you show that -a will not ignore entries starting with a dot. In Unix, the files that start with a dot are hidden files. So ls-a will display entries which were hidden. And you see that in this particular folder, you have multiple files that were not appearing earlier. Okay, oh, not this one, sorry, with dots. Okay, so you have the .local, .java, .config, .cas, and so on and so forth, .path history, right? Now, of particular importance is these two entries. And you will see that these are directories because of the Ds, whereas these ones are directories. Sorry, this one is directory, but I was looking for something which is not like this one. This one is not a directory. This is a file. All right. Now, let's go back to these two, which are important. Remember, first of all, I might need to make this bigger. Or actually, I know what I'm going to do. I will remove the L, which means that I said remove -a, all right? So you see it has been removed. So now we will see this column as a line, all right? And maybe do clear so we have more space. Okay, now we said that we're going to focus now on the dot and the dot dot. These are folders, if you recall. The dot refers to the current working directory. So it's basically the same as pwd result. So dot in this case is cd/home/kali. So if I do cd dot, which means change the current working directory to what I have on dot, and I execute it, then I will end up in the same place. I'm still in /home/kali. Now, if I do ... I will go to the parent folder of the current working directory. So if you imagine that this is a tree and this is the child /kali, the parent node is /home. So kali is under home. So the command cd ... will bring me to /home. Let's do that. And if you do pwd, you see that it's /home, right? And you can also see it here. If we do again cd dot, you will end up in /home, right? If you follow. And if we do cd dot, now you will go to the parent of home, which is /. Okay, let's do that. And another pwd. And you see we are in the beginning of the disk. Let's do clear and pwd. And you see that we are in the beginning of the disk, as I was saying. If you ls and see what exists in the beginning of the disk, then you can see that we have different files and folders. How we can know that these are files and which are not, ls-l -l, and everything that doesn't start with a D is I said doesn't, so it's a file, all right? And you will see that under this one you have the home. So if we need to go to home, or if we need to go to the home directory of Kali, which is under home, we can do cd/home/Kali, and this will bring us to Kali. So far we have seen how we can navigate to paths by changing the directory with cd, how we can list the contents with the ls command, and how we can see the current working directory with pwd. And again, if any of these commands seems confusing, please check the man page of this particular command. Now, let's go. We are again on Kali. ls, we have desktop. So desktop is a folder that has the contents that we see here. So let's go on desktop. So see change directory and let's go to desktop, right? So our current working directory is desktop. All right. Let's create a file. So if we create a file now, let's call it desktop file.txt. When you execute this command, which creates an empty txt file, then we should see it here as well on the graphical interface, right? So what you see here in the graphical interface and what you see here is the same thing, as long as you are in the /home/kali/desktop folder. All right, let's go ahead and create now a folder in this folder. All right, to create folders, you need to use the command mkdir, which is make directory. Okay, let's create a folder which is called test. You see that the folder has been created and you can see it with the graphical interface. All right. Let's get inside this folder. All right. So we do cd and the name of the folder, which is test. All right. Let's clear. So we have a clean canvas. And let's see the contents of this folder. Obviously, we use ls with nothing else. And you should expect that this should be empty. because you can see that with the graphical interface as well. So this should be empty, unless you consider the hidden files, which should be, oops, sorry, dot and dot dot. Okay, that we discussed what they do. All right. We have created some files so far with a touch command. All right, we can create txt files with multiple commands on Unix, and let's create one without touch. Let's create a file that we're going to write in it, and if we're talking about txt files, we need a txt editor. So let's use Nano. Nano is a txt editor. If you don't know that, and you don't believe me, you can always pause and read the man page. All right. So if we do Nano and a file name, let's call it file by Nano or something like that. Then this will bring a graphical interface for this text-based text editor. Okay, and if we say this is a file content written by me, this is the text that appears in the file. In order to exit the text editor, we see below on the shortcuts that we need to do hat. This is hat in computer science, which means Control and X. So if I hit Control and X on the keyboard, I see this one, and it says, you know, you have modified this file. Shall I save? Yes or no? You hit Y. Then it says, which file shall I? Sorry, which file names shall I use? Shall I use file the one that we said earlier or not? If you are happy with this, you just hit Enter. And when we ls, the file is still there. But now, if we do -l, you will see that it has some bytes written. Okay. Previously, it would be empty. So you remember that the size of the file that we created earlier, you know, when it's created, 0, obviously. All right. Other ways to create a file is gedit, and I am okay. Now gedit is a command that is not found, and it says in order to install it, you have to do this command. Now the terminal is very generous, and it says, do you want to execute it? In the past, you would just do this command. So I would actually say no. So I can actually run this command to install it on my own. So if you do sudo apt install gedit, what we'll do is that you will install with the package manager apt this particular command, and sudo will elevate your privileges to admin rights. You need to do that, you need to provide the password of Kali. And when you do that, it says that it will start installation. It says it needs 30 megabytes. So do you want to install it? We hit yes, and it will grab the command, sorry, and it will install it. And this is what is happening. All right. And and now if we use the command gedit, we will have a graphical interface as a text editor. Okay, we can close that, and we can actually open the file that we have just created. Gedit, I say, file, and you see you have a graphical interface. It's like Notepad or Word. Okay, I have added new content on and we say edit, and you can save, with save or Control S or whatever, you close it. And now, if we open the file, we will see that the content should be new and changed. We have two ways to do that. We either do nano, all right, and we see that the new content has been added, or there's another way we can quickly see the contents of a file in the terminal, and this is with the cat command. So if we do cat and the file name, I can remember the file name, so ls, okay, cat file by nano, what will happen is that the content of this file will appear in the terminal, all right? Now, if we need to rename this file, okay, we have, again, multiple options. One option is to do nano, the file name. I mean, rename it without the graphical interface and JEdit. So let's say that we add text and we need to save it. As previously, we hit Y. But now if we need to rename it, we just name it here, and the file name new one, yes. And then if we do ls, we have two files, and we see that the second file, which is this one, has the new content, right? And the other one doesn't. All right. If we need to remove a file, let's remove the previous file, so we don't have two files, we use the command rm, which is short for remove. Again, if you want to see in detail how rm works, then please check the man page. So stop watching, pause the recording here, and open the man page with the command man rm. So let's remove file by nano.txt. It's just it. We clear the window, unless we only see this file. Let's now change the name of the file without creating a new file. We can do that with the command mv. So mv will move a file from one destination to another destination. So if we say that we move this file from this destination, which is basically /desktop /test, okay, actually it's /home /curly /desktop /test, okay, to file, let's call it file by nano. All right. So basically what this one does, it says move the file that you find in the current working directory, and this is, by the way, called a relative path because it starts from the current working directory. Let's move it to the current working directory with the name this one. So what this will do, it will basically move the file in the same folder, and it will change its name. Okay, if we do ls now, we should see only one file, which is called file by nano.txt. And if we see the contents, it will be the latest file. Now, I mentioned a relative directory, which is a relative path, which is a path that starts from the current working directory. You can have absolute paths, which start from the start of the disk. So this command that we have executed earlier could be rewritten as follows. So what's the current working directory? It's this one. So if we say move whatever is in this folder that we are currently on, which we call file by nano.txt,